guys, welcome to El Dia Opina, which translates to the day's opinion. I am Dia, the day's opinion, and today I have an awesome guest. In case you don't know who she is, well, kind of crazy, but she has a very, very popular video with the Prager University YouTube channel.
I recently discovered something startling about myself. It turns out that I'm a racist, sexist, misogynist. This came as quite a shock to me. How did this happen? As a person of color, a single woman with a graduate degree who grew up poor in a home without a father, I had a clear political path to follow, and I followed it. I voted for Barack Obama, twice. After all, we share the same skin color. His father was from Africa, mine was too. What other reasons did I need?
And she's also black, armed, and conservative.
Yes, I am. Oh,
Antonia Okafor. Yes, how are you?
hey, I'm well. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yay! Thanks for allowing me to do this. This is so nice of you.
Of course, of course. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it will be. Well, my first question to you is that I watched your interview on the Rubin Report, which I thought was a really in-depth look at you biographically, which I had, which is I think the best account of you because you're the one saying everything. My question to you essentially is: you said in the interview that African Americans, black people in general, tend to be conservative, but they always vote Democrat. So does that mean you weren't wearing liberal leftist glasses? You actually didn't. You actually had the conservative viewpoint, but you still attached yourself to the title of Democrat. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out myself, like going back, especially now when I'm like looking at stuff that's happening. It's just really exploding just how radical everything is. And I was actually talking to Dave Rubin a few weeks ago when we were in Florida together when we spoke at the Turning Point conference, and we were just having lunch and you're just like, were we really that absurd when we were progressives? Like, did we really have this, with microaggressions and everything? It just seems like just exploded the last couple of years. And I don't really think I was ever at that point. But then again, maybe we were always more classical liberals, both of us were. So we didn't really have that extreme. But yeah, I know my values were always conservative. I was always pro-life, grew up that way. My mom is Roman Catholic. That's always been an important thing for us. But I just think it was just we got caught up, or I got caught up. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what policies or values they have. That's the party that's for Black people. So that's it. So I didn't really go beyond that until I started actually doing my research and then thinking about it and then seeing if my values actually matched with the party. And for the most part, it wasn't. And for the most part, also, I think I was okay with just, well, if they're open and accepting of this thing, then everything else can go into play. But I think the more radical the party became, the more I couldn't really just like turn a blind eye to it. I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision, and I was becoming more vocal as a person in general. So I think that's what really made me have to make a decision. So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain.
I think I know what you mean. Because in my head, for some reason, I thought you were. Doesn't the Prager University video state that you used to be pro-choice?
I was even teaching feminism to inner city girls. Part of that teaching involved making the case for abortion. These girls needed to know that they had the right to make decisions about their own bodies. Surely, I thought, that's empowerment. But one day I asked myself, isn't it men who benefit most from consequence-free sex? Doesn't that give them even more power over women? And of course, abortion certainly doesn't empower the woman it prevents from ever being born. When I began to ask my other feminist friends how they reconcile these issues, they just got angry. I was called anti-woman, even by progressive men. But I'm not anti-woman, I thought. I am a woman.
But you just said you're always pro-life?
Yeah, I would say it was kind of like this blanket, right? It was, which I see a lot of Democrats. I'm a Democrat, so with the gun issue, for example, I didn't really have all of the facts and figures, but if like Sandy Hook happened or, Columbine happened or something like that, I just went with the narrative, right? And I think a lot of people go with that. Just like, oh yeah, enough is enough. And you just start reiterating the same thing. And then you also start to think, oh, well, I'm a woman and I'm all these feminist organizations, I'm pro-women, and they keep saying pro-woman means that you're pro-choice, and why would you want the government involved anyways, type jargon. And again, I wasn't really looking at what I was saying. I was just repeating, regurgitating what culture was telling me to be and to act like and think like. And I think when you start making the decisions of like, do I really believe that? And I think for me, actually, I actually worked at a crisis pregnancy center. And at that point, yeah, so I worked at a crisis pregnancy center for 3 months, actually, full time. And so I really got to really know these women, and they were victims of incest and rape and a lot of different horrible circumstances. But getting to know them, at that point, I didn't really have a viewpoint one way or the other. I kind of probably leaned more pro-choice just because I was like, okay, well, at least I got a choice in the matter if I decide to be pro-life or not pro-life. But at that time, I realized, you know what, there are other options out there. And crisis pregnancy centers, even to this day, is something that a lot of women don't even know exists. They don't really know there's an option beyond adoption or abortion. There are other things that you can do. And so once I realized there were other choices available to me and to other people and to other women, and then on top of that, I found that a lot of those women actually had compounded mental health issues because of what they had gone through. I started to make my decision that, you know what, I'm actually not only pro-life, but pro-life, I'm going to make that stance, and in every circumstance that I believe I'm pro-life. And I think it is better for the mother and, of course, the child. And I think I brought about that thinking of, well, if I am a feminist and I am pro-women, then how can, if life is important and to be actually a woman, then how can I advocate for something that keeps women from even being alive in the first place? So that's where the PragerU video thinking came from.
Oh, okay. So in your own head, you were conservative, but then there were talking points from the left that you weren't able to reconcile, and until you finally went out of your way to deconstruct it and structure it, you realized that it was colliding, and it just was
absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are apathetic. Me and you, we're not the norm. Talking about politics, watching the news, even just watching the news in general. I mean, you talk to most people, they don't want to watch the news. It's too depressing. And then once you're watching the news, you get more political. It's just natural. And so if you're not even paying attention to what's going on, and I hate to always go back to this, but if you're always just watching reality shows and you care about what the Kardashians are doing, then you don't really care about the political stuff. And when Kardashian, something, yeah, well, I was gonna say okay, I shouldn't batch it, but my family still watches it. But it's like the only political stuff that you actually pay attention to is when court.
Only pay attention. Maybe that's
only
because I certainly do still love my trashy TV. But I need a distraction from all the mind games.
Exactly. No, you're right. I shouldn't trash it. I mean,
no, trash it. It's fine. I think it's trashy, but it is a good distraction. That's all.
That is true. So, but even when you're watching those shows, you only pay attention to political stuff when Kim goes through what she went through in Paris. And she's armed at gunpoint, and you're not really paying attention to anything else. But she says, you know what? I'm for gun control now. And you're like, oh, I admire Kim, so I'm going to believe what she believes. And I think that's just what majority of Americans do.
And there was another episode of the Kardashians, and I spoke about this to the PR, the public relations woman of an anti-abortion company called Human Coalition. Lauren Enriquez was recently on my channel, and she said that because I was telling her about an episode of the Kardashians where they went to see Planned Parenthood, and in this particular version of Planned Parenthood, it was like a fairy tale, because they had this woman saying, oh, I had a mammogram and blah, 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 and apparently they don't actually do mammograms at all. That's what I was told by Lauren.
Afterward. Yeah. And this is the one type of abortion where you have a second chance. They don't offer mammograms, by the way.
Is that actually a lie?
That is a complete lie. Planned Parenthood does not own one
That's
mammogram.
been propagated and perpetuated.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Cecile Richards has gone on national television twice, I believe, and said that if Planned Parenthood is defunded, women will lose access to mammograms.
Well, even Hillary Clinton said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities say it. Even one of the Miss America contestants said it. Like, it's just a huge misconception. But live action, one of their investigations, you can go listen to it. Somebody called like all the Planned Parenthoods in the United States, and every single one of them said, no, we don't offer mammograms. No, we'll refer you for a mammogram. So now Planned Parenthood's line is, no, we never said we offered mammograms. We just mean that we'll refer for a mammogram. But if you go and listen to what they've actually said, they've totally said that they offered mammograms.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And in the same episode, a pretty Asian lady saying that she had just started seeing this new guy. She accidentally got pregnant, and then she went to Planned Parenthood, and then the abortionist was like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't feel like you're ready. Go home and just see what happens. Which apparently would never happen at a Planned Parenthood. Apparently they would never do that. They'd just be like, all right, let's get you in here. We want those baby parts. We want to harvest them.
I'll go next. I'm Madeline. I'm 30. 4 years ago, I found myself pregnant. I had missed one pill, as so many women often do. I was in a very new relationship. We hardly knew each other. And I was at the peak of my career. I was traveling a whole lot. And so it just wasn't going to work for me. I scheduled an appointment at Planned Parenthood to get an abortion. And I started to have second thoughts. And when I went in, the doctor sensed my hesitation. And she's like, you are so early in your pregnancy. Go home, take the night to sleep on it. And I actually insisted. I was like, I'm already here. I'm just nervous. And she didn't budge.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready!
Said, it's not happening today. My conscience isn't going to let me do this, so go home. 8 months later, I had my son. And he's incredible. He's the coolest little dude, and I can't imagine my life without him. So had I gone anywhere else other than Planned Parenthood, he wouldn't be here today.
I certainly did enjoy that. And
He's crying.
So it's just
Yeah, I know. That sounds more like what a pro-lifer would do, of at least like having the ultrasound and say, hey, have a like think about it a little bit first, and now, and I think it's really telling right now. Today is, Trump made today, I don't know, in America, today is now National Sanctity of Life Day. He kind of ordained this day to be that way. But then we had March for Life, and we had the Women's March this weekend, or this week. And, we're really talking about those issues again, about women's issues. But unfortunately, I feel like, again, women's issue has been co-opted by the radical left movement of, women's issues really only has to do with reproductive issues. And reproductive issues, even more so, it's not really reproductive issues. It's about whether you can have an abortion or not. And what does women's rights issues look like? What does women's issues look like? Are they all issues? Are they really particularly like a certain set of issues? I think a lot of women are still having this conversation, but particularly women who don't prescribe to radical left, to leftism in general, who may be even more classical liberal. Again, coming back to the issue of African Americans being conservative, a lot of minorities in general are conservative, whether that's immigrants, whether that's I know I grew up with mostly Asian people, so Indians, and also other type of Asian people who have very traditional values, and I believe a lot of them, particularly in the pro-life issue, that's important to them. And we saw in Texas here that Wendy Davis was trying to run for governor a few years ago, and I really think that that's why she lost, and she didn't have the momentum people thought she was going to have, is because her whole thing was based on being pro-abortion, and even the Democrats here in Texas are still pretty conservative when it comes to those type of issues. So I think in minorities in general, that's how they are.
Well, before Donald Trump was elected as president, in the preliminaries, I had my sort of hope for Carly Fiorina or Dr. Ben Carson. Those were the two that I liked, and the reason I liked Carly Fiorina was when in interviews they spoke to her, she would say something like, well, let's look at where we can meet halfway, and the points that she mentioned where leftists and people on the right could meet halfway is upon the discovery that abortion in the US, not here, can be done up to the 9th month, or sometimes to the 7th month, just too far along. And she said that when doctors find that out, that they're horrified by that particular fact. And I thought that was very wise, because she said, well, we can both actually agree on this, even though there are many leftists that don't care that 9th month is still fine. But when I heard her say that, I was like, that's a good way to say it, that this group and this group both find that abhorrent, that that's that far along.
What is the common ground?
The common ground is, if you look at every poll, the majority of Americans, the majority of women, and the majority of young people now believe that abortion after 5 months, for any reason at all, is wrong. So let's pass. There was a bill that up in front of the House. Let's pass the Pain Capable Unborn Child Protection Act.
So that's
common ground.
What is your position, though, on abortion? You're as a candidate.
I'm a pro-life candidate because I believe that science is proving us right every day. We've been doing successful surgery in utero on fetuses as young as 4 months for quite a long time. The DNA in a zygote is precisely the same as a DNA the day you die. But I understand and respect, Katie, not everyone agrees with me. What I think is, even where we don't agree on everything, let's come together and solve a problem where we have common ground. And the truth is, there are lots of children being aborted after 5 months that Americans now agree maybe we should step in and save them. So let's do that.
So do
because if you're not pro-life, you're pro-abortion, essentially.
Exactly, and they want to make it that way. They want to make it that you have to choose a side. You're pro-life, and in cases of everything, you are pro-life or you're pro-abortion, which I am starting to see more of that, of not just being pro-choice, but being pro-abortion. I feel like, again, that the left side is co-opting the movement, more just the Democratic side of, oh, no, you should be okay with having an abortion. No-fault abortions, you shouldn't doubt it at all. I saw the video of Now This saying like 95% of women are, don't regret having an abortion. So
it's
exactly. But you see a video on Facebook and you think,
shout your abortions.
Wow. Yeah. Exactly. Or if you watch, Scandal, and you see Kerry Washington doing. Exactly. I used to watch that until the episode where they had, I think it's called Silent Night, the one where she doesn't want to have a child with the president, because she's the model of moralism, of course, and she has a baby. Well, doesn't want to have a baby with him because she's too much of a feminist and too much of a woman and individual. So she has an abortion, and she afterwards talks about why she did that episode. She wanted women to feel comfortable with having an abortion and not feel like there's any regret on that. And I stopped watching after that episode because I was just like, you know what? It's not really about the pro-choice issue. It's not about, I think we should have a choice, but I'm personally pro-life. Now it's oh no, celebrate your abortion. Celebrate the fact that you're ending a life. So I think that's the problem a lot of people have right now.
Well, why is it, though, that African Americans, the black community, appears conservative, as you obviously stated even from the shows that I watched, like when I used to watch Girlfriends. And I used to watch all these shows. African Americans seem very God oriented, and that's not a bad thing. But they're still the major contributor to abortions. I don't get that. That doesn't reconcile to me.
Exactly. I think it doesn't reconcile to a lot of people, and that's why Planned Parenthood tweeted out a few months ago. Actually, it was probably not even just a few months ago, but my timeline's going everywhere. But not too long ago, tweeted out saying that Black women are, it's safer for a Black woman to abort their child than to carry their child to term. And I can show you the tweets on that. You can put that up later on. I will personally send that to you. And people are just like, no, there's no way. They took it down immediately, right? Like, no, it's still there. If you want to go and scroll back, it's still there. That's how confident they are that they can just say whatever they want and they think that whatever they say isn't racist. I mean, you can't get more racist than that. The fact that you encourage Black women, and I believe that they do target Black women who tend to be, percentage-wise, lower income, in poverty, they don't have many choices. And so I think they target those people because they feel like, well, that's a narrative that we can feed to them, and the only way you're going to get out of that is if you have an abortion, because that's keeping you back. But yet we still continue to see Black women who are still in poverty levels. So that's not true. That's not true that the more kids you have, the more likely you're going to be in poverty. It's how you have kids, it's where you are, and the economic situation that you're in. Let's talk about those things. But they've been pushing this abortion narrative.
Yeah.
Exactly. Talking about
Lowest
unemployment.
unemployment ever.
Exactly. That's how we get people out of situations like that. Not about
My people
killing
and your
off
people, Latinos and Black people, lowest unemployment ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what should be celebrated.
Yes.
But I get a lot
fuck Donald
for
Trump.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is
So yeah, that's why I love seeing other Black women, like pro-life feminists, and a lot of Black women who are also pushing the narrative on the other side, saying, you know what, we're going to start pushing against that narrative. That's not true, and it hurts Black people.
Yeah, I had Jovilla on very recently. She's so
Oh,
brave.
yeah, exactly. So I love seeing that, and you know, I'm more on the pro. I'm pro-life, but you know, my thing with NRA and Empowered, and my thing is more about the gun rights issue, which Black women are the fastest growing population there. So yeah, but I mean, it's just again, it's this all encompassing of this narrative of, because you're a Black woman, then therefore you should have liberal, not even liberal, I hate to, because liberal right now in America is not what liberal should be, what it really is supposed to be, progressive rather, type of viewpoints. That's not true. We were raised in God-fearing households. For me, even more so, I was Roman Catholic, but I became a born-again Christian just 8 years ago, and that's when I really was like, you know what, if I'm going to be pro-life, I have to vote pro-life. If I'm going to be pro the right to defend myself, I have to vote that way. And that's when I got more politically involved. And I think that's the shift for a lot of people, is when they reconcile their values with how they're voting.
Is it usual, and is it a usual occurrence to have Black people who are Catholic? It's not something I'm that familiar with.
No, it's not. It's not actually. A lot of them are Baptists, or in America at least. So I think that's the difference too. Differentiation of me versus, say, the larger Black community in America is that my parents are from Nigeria, and they're Igbo, and Igbo are predominantly Roman Catholic in Nigeria. So yeah, I grew up Roman Catholic versus Baptist. But again, if we're talking about the Christian tenets, it shouldn't really matter. It should be that they're pro-life on both sides, but we're seeing kind of this disconnect.
In terms of pro-life, at least that's similar. I can get into you regarding the politics of the Catholic Church, but that's a whole different video.
Exactly. But yeah, so my mom is still, I'm pretty sure Bernie runs again, that she might vote for Bernie. She didn't at that point, but my siblings did, but they're very pro-life. I mean, that is one thing they've always been adamant about. They're pro-life. So
that's good that they're pro-life, but if they vote Democrat, that's not
they're voting.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair